So I'd just like to start out by saying that this is all 100% true. Like, I couldn't make this up if I tried. A friend of mine from theater once told me that I play completely insane and potentially violent characters just a little bit too well. I told him I have a little bit of personal experience. He thought I was joking. I was not. This is the story of how I accidentally became Steak and Shake's biggest fan. So this all really began about a year ago when a group of friends and I all went out of town for the day. On the drive home from this trip, my friend was telling me about how completely amazing the Emo Kylo Ren Twitter page is. And it was because of that that I decided right then and there to get a Twitter for the sole purpose of following the absolute beauty that is the Emo Kylo Ren Twitter page. While this was happening, we all decided to get some food and we pulled into a Steak and Shake that was just off to the side of the road. Once I'd ordered, I continued working on my Twitter account. I tried my go-to username, @CamillaValerius, but that was already taken. I tried a couple other usernames and a couple variations of it, but they were all taken. Finally, my friend, who was looking at the Steak and Shake menu, suggested @SingleSteak. Sure enough, it was available. After all, who would want a username like Single Steak? Not me, that's for sure. Seriously, it's like having Single Pringle as your username, but worse. It's like having the knockoff brand of Single Pringle. Nobody wants that! I laughed and tried other usernames, but to no avail. At this point, we'd gotten our food and were continuing our drive home. Finally, I gave in and just went with @SingleSteak. After all, it said that I could change the username later if I wanted to. May as well just have it temporarily and change it to something better when I got home, right? Wrong. I looked everywhere on that app. Everywhere! I went to FAQs, I searched Google, I couldn't find out anywhere where to change my username. So there I was, stuck with a stupid username following Emo Kylo Ren and no one else. Oh well, it could have been worse, right? Fast forward a couple months. I honestly hadn't really used my Twitter account other than to see how Emo Kylo Ren was doing. I had maybe about 3 followers, all of which were people that I kind of knew, like I'd maybe had 1 or 2 conversations with, but was more acquaintances with than anything else. So the same group of friends that I was with before went out of town again. And same scenario as before, we were all hungry, decided to stop at Steak and Shake for some food. We ate our food, took some absolutely lovely photos, and just talked a bit. And somehow the topic of my Twitter account came up. My friend remarked how the name Single Steak sounds like someone who's completely obsessed with Steak and Shake. And we both agreed that it would be completely hilarious to send out tweets as someone who's completely obsessed with Steak and Shake. And by obsessed, I mean really obsessed. Like really, really obsessed. Like that. So you know how people will tweet at celebrities on Twitter? Like, you can tag a celebrity in a tweet and they never respond. So my friend and I searched Steak and Shake on Twitter, and sure enough, they have an official account. It's mainly to promote deals and direct angry customers at their customer service hotline. So my friend and I decided to send out tweet after tweet after tweet tagging Steak and Shake in every single tweet. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if we reached over 50 tweets in one night. And each tweet was just me proclaiming my undying love for Steak and Shake with absolutely terrible spelling and grammar. We literally went to Google and searched up cheesy love poems and copied and pasted into Twitter. It was glorious. By the time we got home, we were all wondering how the poor people who run the Steak and Shake Twitter account would respond to this. Personally, I was confident that they would either follow me back, block me, or DM me saying, "Whatever you're doing, please stop." Well, none of those things happened. I checked Twitter the next morning and there had been absolutely no response whatsoever from Steak and Shake. Most people in this situation... Wait, no, let me rephrase that. Most people wouldn't get in this situation, but if some normal person had somehow found themselves in this situation, they would probably shrug their shoulders and move on with their lives. I, however, am not most people. I continued tweeting Steak and Shake relentlessly. Every time I had a thought that could somehow turn into a tweet, which was a lot more often than you would think, it got sent. I probably sent out more than a dozen tweets a day. Now let me point out that I personally think that Steak and Shake is the world's most average restaurant. It's not amazing, but it's not terrible. It's kind of the Midwest go-to for informal dining at a reasonable price. It's middling, it's ordinary, it's nothing special. It's the king of the unexceptional. It sets the par for restaurants. So the fact that this online persona that I had created would think that Steak 'n Shake, in all of its mediocre glory, is some kind of food god is all the more hilarious to me. A couple weeks went by and there was still no response or even acknowledgement from Steak 'n Shake. I would not give up, as I am one of the most stubborn people on earth. So after probably about 200 tweets to Steak 'n Shake, I walk into the lunchroom one day and sit down next to this girl that I had befriended but hadn't known super long. And she turns to me and says, "So I found your Twitter page." My eyes widened like a deer in headlights. I tried to explain why this page existed but wasn't really sure how to do it without sounding completely insane, which, to be fair, I probably am. But this girl had followed me and gone through my page and liked a whole bunch of my tweets. It was not my proudest moment. Oh yeah, on that note, those 3 initial followers that I had, they never said anything to me, but I noticed one day that they weren't following me anymore. Very subtle. It was shortly after this experience that I changed my Twitter name to Milla, and my profile picture to, well, this, and basically removed all evidence that could have caused someone to accidentally stumble upon my Twitter page and figure out who it is. So time continued to go by, and I continued to tweet Steak 'n Shake about my profound and undying affection for them, and how the two of us are destined to be together forever. And somehow I managed to actually gain followers. Of course, they were all followers that pointed me in the direction of hot single women in my area, but they were followers nonetheless. Eventually, I reached 25 followers, and Twitter was kind enough to send me a notification telling me this. I screenshotted that notification and sent it to Steak 'n Shake with the caption, "Aw, there are 25 people who support the relationship between me and Steak 'n Shake. Hashtag Steak 'n Shake is love." I honestly didn't think much about the tweet, as I never got any responses from anyone. But a few hours later, my phone buzzed and I checked it to see that Steak 'n Shake not only liked my tweet, but responded, "Make that 26, Milla," and they followed me. It's now been almost a year since I created the account. I continue to relentlessly tweet Steak 'n Shake, and I've taken up the practice of liking and retweeting all of their tweets as well as all of my own. It just goes to show, dreams really can come true. And that is the story of how I accidentally became Steak 'n Shake's biggest fan, flirted with a major restaurant chain for almost a year straight, and went from being a single steak to an in a relationship steak.